I'm Huon Hook, and this is The Real Review. So the wine we're tasting today is Santoline Wines, Cosa Nostra Arneis, 2019 from the Yarra Valley. So the backstory of Santoline is quite a short one. They are only one of the newest wineries in the Yarra Valley. They started in 2012. Adrian and Rebecca Santoline is the couple involved. They had both worked for quite a long time in the wine industry in various ways before they decided to make their own wine. Adrian has Italian heritage, and it was this Italian heritage that got him interested in making Italian varietals. They also produce a Vermentino, a Friulano, difficult one to pronounce, a Sangiovese, a Nero d'Avola, and a Negro Amaro. So quite a lot of varieties there from all over Italy. The wine is called Cosa Nostra. Not all of their wines are Cosa Nostra. They're experimental, slightly radical wines that are named Cosa Nostra. And they do produce Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and the more conventional Yarra Valley varieties, but they're more experimental, more out there varieties are the Cosa Nostra wines. Adrian Santoline describes Santoline wines as a lo-fi winemaking entity. Yeah, and what he means by that is that they believe in minimal intervention, not necessarily natural wines per se, but minimal intervention. So they don't add anything more than they have to. They don't take away anything more than they have to. They let the wines make themselves as much as they can, so natural fermentations, no added yeast, that sort of thing, and of course very small batch wines. So a little bit about Arneis. Arneis is a somewhat obscure variety. There's not much of it grown in Australia. It is pretty much confined to the top northwestern part of Italy, which is Piedmont, the region that's most famous for its Barolo, its Barbaresco, its Barbera, Dolcetto, things like that. In other words, red wines. There is a little bit of white wine made there, and one of their indigenous varieties is Arneis. It's normally made in a very dry, appetizing, crisp acid, unwooded generally, style of dry white wine. Well, it's a young wine, very light colour, very watery in the glass. It doesn't have too much viscosity to it. But the nose is beautiful, very, very complex. It's not just a matter of fruit. There is pear-like fruit there. There's even a touch of lemon. But there is a nuttiness because the wine has been partly barrel fermented. There's also a creaminess to the nose because the wine, I think, has been probably aged on its lees a little bit so that it's got that creamy lees-derived character. Really quite a fascinating nose. It's starting to develop some honey as well, which I think happens to these wines with a bit of extra bottle age. It's only young, but it'll probably get more honeyed as it ages. Let's taste it. Wow, very intense, very fine, very delicious. Lots of acid, very mouth-watering. It really gets the salivary glands working, which is what Italian wines are all about, really. Very dry, beautiful flavour, lingers for a long time. It's got complexity, but it's also got freshness and fruit and raciness and great drinkability. So how do we rate this wine? We rate it at 93. You know, there aren't many Arneises around. This one did very well. We would suggest drinking it from now until 2025, but I suspect it will last a little bit longer than that. But to get the freshness and the fruit and the appetizing qualities of the wine, it's probably a wine that should be drunk reasonably young. So we scored at 93, but there is no ranking for this wine in our system because there are very few Arneises from the Yarra Valley that we've tasted. There are only probably a handful of them in production down there. But I think that that score is a very solid score, and the wine is excellent value for money. It's only $25. It's a beautiful wine to have as an aperitif or with food, and it's quite limited production. There's only 140 dozen of it that were made. So what sort of food would you serve with a wine like this? Well, as I said, it could be served without food. It's a great aperitif sort of wine, really gets the appetite stimulated, but I really think it goes with food very well as well. And the winemaker Adrian Santolin recommends Rick Stein's seafood risotto, and I have absolutely no doubt that he's right. And that's an interesting link with Piedmont there, because risotto, of course, is one of the traditional things to have in Piedmont because they grow a lot of rice there. So cheers to that. I will enjoy having a glass of this later.